My name is Axel, and I would like to tell you about one of my first religious experiences. Even though I didn't know at the time that it was a religious experience, I actually only discovered that now. I was 13 years old, and we went to Berlin with a youth group. It was beautiful there in the summer. We stayed in a shed like this, with wooden beds too. And then it was afternoon, and the sun was really very pleasant. It wasn't that hot, yes, and a very calm wind too. And on one of those many lakes in Berlin, and there was an inflatable boat. And a friend of mine who was a little older than me, we looked at each other and said, "Oh, now it's our lunch break. We can also get in this boat and just float around on the lake for a bit and just enjoy the sun and have a good time." And then we got in there. And the first unusual thing was that we didn't speak to each other at all. Everyone was just lying there in the sun, and I was lying there in the sun, and I felt this warmth and this splashing water and also a little tired, and I think I fell asleep. It was a very unique state. I can't remember ever having experienced it like that before, and yes, and I was really completely relaxed. So there were no demands on me not to do it. This friend next to me, I also really felt so accepted when I could be who I was, and the special thing about it was that I felt connected to everything in a very strange way. So it was really now, in hindsight, I wouldn't have been able to express anything at the time. It was a holy feeling. I only knew what I had, no words for it. So when we got back to the shore safely, I didn't know whether I could talk to my friend about it, and I didn't dare to. Because, it was a little scary. I didn't know anything. That's what he experienced too. I just experienced that. And yes, and this experience has only now come back to me, and so, in retrospect, it becomes really clear. I actually met God there, but I couldn't understand it at the time.
And Maslow talks about long-term consequences, i.e., that somehow the values of being, the values of life have changed. Do you have any long-term or short-term consequences?
Yes. In a way, from my perspective, it was actually the starting point of my conscious religious development. I have to say that. I think that has something to do with age. So, what happened before? I can't remember a lot of it, but I can remember that, yes. And that's when I actually started thinking about God and all these questions. That was also a starting point.